Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on July the 14th, 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. And as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So the big thing today was the CPI numbers. As we discussed yesterday, the CPI numbers I mentioned, if they come in higher than expected, we are likely to see the US dollar go up. And the reason for that is because right now the focus is on inflation. So much money has been pumped into the market that the value of the money has decreased, and everything is becoming more expensive. So inflation, the cost of goods going up, is a major concern. And this is where, when the inflation goes up, now that is good for the currency because it forces the central bank to take action. So with this news here, the reason US dollar went up is because now the expectation is that the Fed will have to raise rates before, or they will have to pull forward the timeline on increasing the rates, as well as cutting back on all the money that they are pumping into the market. And so it's usually good for the currency because the interest rates go up, and when interest rates go up, that is better for the currency. Not that great for the stock market because businesses don't have access to cheaper money. So this was the main thing that we saw. And coming up on Wednesday, sorry, excuse me. Coming up on Wednesday here, we do have CPI numbers, again, the inflation numbers here for UK. So if the inflation numbers similar to what we saw with the US, if the inflation numbers come in higher than expected, that would be good for the good for the pound here. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. And then a lot of news coming up here. We also have PPI numbers and core PPI numbers here for the US Bank of Canada rate statement. So Bank of Canada is one of those banks that is talking about, they were one of the first ones to move actually in terms of talking about raising rates, or at least providing some guidance as to when they may raise rates. If their statement is similar to what it was previously, which is basically they're going to look at tapering, they're going to look at increasing interest rates. If that is what we hear from them again, that will be positive for Canadian dollar. We also have the press conference and we have Powell's testimony. So in the testimony, Powell had said that they are not, basically he had downplayed the interest rate hike, but with the inflation going up a fair bit, or coming in a fair bit higher than what was expected, now central bank may not have that many options. So we'll see what Powell has to say. So that will have an impact as well. And then in the Asian session, we have Australian data here. We have employment numbers looking at positive numbers. So if the data is positive, it will be good for Australian dollar. And then we also have GDP numbers out of China. So that's it for the news. Let's move on to our charts now. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our euro here. So yesterday we had talked about an important support resistance level at 1.1880. So as we can see, price wasn't able to go through. Now, of course, with inflation numbers, that the move to the downside got exaggerated. So with this here, looking for a bearish move here. So bias is bearish, looking for a move all the way into the support here. Watch out though, we could get a bit of a pullback here. However, if that sentiment continues, then it could just take off. So we'll have to keep an eye on it in terms of where the pullback comes. Is it going to be shallow or deep? So we'll watch that. But bias is bearish and target is 1.1700. Pound here, pound also same scenario. We had talked about our support resistance level at 1.39. Price held below that. It went and retested it, but it held below. And now we have a drop. So we have a nice bearish candle close. looking for a drop, further drop here. So bearish bias 1.3740 is the target for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, bias is bearish as well. 0.7420 is the first target, and then we're looking at 0.7370. So bearish bias here for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, this is also looking bearish. So this is why we need to wait. Price went and retested again the resistance that we were watching yesterday, and it dropped. So bearish bias. Now keep in mind we are coming into support, so watch out for that. But overall bias is still bearish here. And in terms of our targets, we are looking at 0.6900 and then 0.6870. So bearish bias for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this one is looking bullish. Now with the Canadian dollar though, we may have a bit of a trouble. If Bank of Canada talks about raising rates, then we're likely to see this drop and come back into the support, potentially even drop lower. This one, neutral, I'd say neutral for now. US dollar is strong, but again, if Bank of Canada also talks about raising interest rates or tightening the monetary policy, that would be positive for Canadian dollar as well. So we may have a tug of war here between the two. So I will look for a move between 1.2550 and potentially 1.2440. So looking for a range bound move here potentially. Silver here, silver also looking bearish, and in this case looking for a drop. 25.70 is the target here, so bearish bias, that's the first target. Second target 25.50, so this one as well, price went into resistance and then dropped from there. So bearish bias for silver. Gold as well, gold is actually neutral. Price has been stuck in a range over the last few days. It's tested the high, tested the low, still stuck in a range. So at this point, neutral bias, we just need to wait and see which direction it comes out in, and then we will follow it. So right now, this is completely neutral, looking for a move between 1816 and 1793. So neutral bias there. Oil looking bullish here. Price held, and now we are likely to see a move higher towards 76.20. So bullish bias for oil. Copper here, copper still stuck in a range. It's been trading sideways for a bit now. So bearish bias 44.18 is the target, and then we're likely to see a move back into the range. So neutral to bearish bias, looking for a range bound move here as well. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin holding on, hasn't really done a whole lot. So we have a very, very small move here. If it holds above 31,500, we're likely to see it go back into the range. But if it breaks through here, we could see a big drop. There's a big lot of room here to the downside. So right now it looks like it's pressuring the support. And if it does that, we could have a fair bit of a drop. So watch out. It is at some important levels right now. So bias is neutral to bearish here. And stock market, S&P 500, bearish. It is into support, so we need to be careful, but bias is bearish. 43.10 is the first target. Nasdaq moved in both directions. It is into support. So right now this is looking neutral, but we could get a drop here. So watch out for that. And especially if the sentiment in terms of inflation and monetary policy continues, then we could see a decline. But for now, it is neutral. We need to see a good candle close there. With Dow Jones here, this is looking bearish, small candle, but bearish nonetheless. Now, the testimony, Powell's testimony will play a role here as well. But for now, excuse me, for now, bearish bias, and target is 34,670. DAX here, DAX still looking bullish here. It's right into the resistance. So we could see a move higher towards 16,000. So bias is bullish, but watch out for resistance. It's right into the resistance. And last time I was here, it turned around, but right now looking fairly bullish there. FTSE here, FTSE looking neutral right now. Doesn't really have any kind of a strong direction at this point. So we are likely to get a range bound move, looking for a move between 71.65 and 69.50. So neutral bias for FTSE. And Nikkei though, Nikkei is looking bearish. So price went into the resistance and then it has dropped. So looking for a move back here to the downside. In this case, the first target is 28,270. And then we will look for lower levels, 28,000. So bearish bias for Nikkei. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading day, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye for now.